everyone, and welcome to another episode of my Woman Who Inspires series. My name is Sreshtha Tewari. I am the director of the Self-Worth, Leadership, and Empowerment Consultancy. I am a motivational speaker and a wholeness guide, which means that I help women build a bridge to their purpose and find their true meaning in life. In this series, we talk to women who have been on emotional journeys, as we all have been, understanding that our emotions that people term as negative are really messages from the universe to help push us to either things we need to do, where we need to be, or even finding a bigger purpose for ourselves. Today, I have a very special guest with me. Her name is Lisa McKenzie. Lisa is a business owner and worked in a large multinational corporation for over 30 years. I am excited to have her here with me. How are you today, Lisa?
I am good, thank you.
I am honored that you are here to share your story and your journey with us. So I would invite you to share your experience.
Okay, well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here and to share my story with you. As you mentioned, I worked with a big corporation before. And while working there, I was married, my family, living my life day to day. And one day, we had a very traumatic experience where my husband fell ill and, we had to go abroad for a couple of months. I mean, my children were here because they were still in school. Mm-hmm. And I went up with him. I stayed with him in hospital for a couple of months. And, that in itself, what really helped me, I mean, there were times when, it seemed like there was no hope. But thank God, I always say there's a God above. He really, really opened up doors and ways to overcome whatever hurdle was there. And I mean, having that faith that really pushed me to move on and carry on. And unfortunately, sadly enough, he passed away. Okay. So leaving me with my kids and, a business to run and having to now work with a partner, still have my corporate job. So having to juggle both of them at the same time, it was a challenge. But, somehow I told myself when I came back, I guess people expected me to fold up and, give up, but not me. I said, no way. I'm not giving up. I'm pushing forward. I'm going to do, what's best for me, my kids, the business, my job. And it was a very long journey. A lot of emotions, having to deal with the children and the passing of their father. I had to be Miss Strong, although I'm hurting, but I still had to fight those emotions and be strong for them to carry on and be strong for the business. Thank God, as I always say, if it wasn't for him, I would not be here today. I have to say I'm very, very blessed because I was blessed with a very good partner. I eventually left my job and went full into the business. And it's, as I say, there were days, when I would cry, I would say, Lord, what's going on? So much on my plate. But I always say, never give up, never give up. Go that road, go that distance. There is a shining light at the end of the tunnel, no matter how hard it is. And I have been there, trust me.
Yeah, it's so interesting. You talk about having to go through something that is really, really difficult. And you yourself would have had to process your own emotions given the death of your husband. But as a mother, you also had to be there for your children. And this is something so many mothers go through where we can't, because I am a mother too. Sometimes you can't even pay attention or sit with your own emotions, because you have to be there for your children or for other persons in your family, or maybe your friends. So I just want to ask you, how did you deal with having to be there for your children, but still dealing with your grief?
I guess I'm a very good, I'm amazing at blocking things out.
Mm-hmm.
At first I blocked out whatever emotions and
Mm-hmm.
just dealt with them, because I mean they were teenagers, and teenagers um is a different plate you're dealing with, so having to deal with that, I blocked off. I had my days when I say I would break down, in my quiet time, but I prayed a lot. I prayed so much,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't stop thanking God for just showing me the way, showing me the direction, giving me the strength, to carry on and dealing with my kids. It was very hard for me because they were very close to their father.
Mm-hmm.
So that in itself was a very painful thing for me. I didn't know, should I should I let them know how I'm feeling, or should I be this brave person? We tried, I took them, especially my little daughter, because she was younger. We, to a lot of therapy, because they were having a very, very hard time dealing with their father's death. And it helped a bit, I would say. And then I realized one day, the therapist told me, you never came for therapy. And I said, I don't need that. I'm strong. I know what I have to do, what I'm about. I just doing it. And she said, no. And that was it. That's when I broke down and I realized that, sometimes you have to talk to somebody who, not necessarily that they might be able to help you, but just talking about it, talking to somebody who you don't really know, somebody on the outside, just talking about your emotions, and that in itself helped. So what I did is that I held on to a lot of the good memories. So I always tell um, people who lose a loved one, I know it's hard. Nobody could ever say, I know how, understand how you feel. They don't, because my emotion will be different to your emotion. But what you do is that you hold on to those good memories that you have, and just know that they're all around. Everybody have different beliefs, but my beliefs is that, their father, my husband, was there looking over us, watching over us, so that in itself was a comfort.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. So, and even how you process your grief, again, so many women go through that. They stay strong for their children, and then they just have the time in the shower or the 10 minutes alone where they get to process and break down and let the tears come out and let the emotions flow. And then they have to go back to seemingly being strong. And
Yes.
you also spoke about how you took your kids to therapy. So you recognize that they needed help, which I really want to commend you on, that you did reach out to try to help them. Whether or not it helped, you tried. And
Mhm.
even through that, you recognize that you yourself just needed to talk to someone. And this is why I have this series as well, to encourage women to talk to other persons. Sometimes you need to talk to someone who can protect your space. As Lisa said, somebody independent of your friends. And so who could give you a neutral listening ear, not necessarily give you advice, but a
Yeah.
neutral listening ear. And
Yes.
I love that you talk about just believing that the person was still there with you, still hugging you and in your atmosphere in his own way. So I want to
Mhm.
ask you just one more thing. What would you tell your younger self?
What would I tell my younger self? I First to begin, I always say I grew up in a household where my mother was a businesswoman also.
Mhm.
And back in the day, you always found that the woman, always was nine of us, and I remember seeing my mother having the babies and going to work. well, I'm the second to last, so my little sister after me, having a baby and going to work like normal, you know. Nowadays, you're taking how many months home? But it was never like that for my mother. She was always a strong one. She was always independent. Yes, daddy was there in the business too, but she was a driving force. So I always, I probably got my strength from her. And I see a lot of her ways in the ways that I have handled things. And what I would say to my inner child is, you know, growing up, there were a lot of things growing up as a child. There are a lot of things that, especially back in the day, it's not like modern day time where you have therapists and you have somebody to talk. Back in the day, I mean, it was different. In recently long time days, it was really different in growing up. Um, and I would just say that, family is so important. Um, and the love, just having that love of we were such a big family, having that love that um, I would have, although I was close to my parents, but maybe I don't know if I've seen this, but maybe I wish I had more time with them and we shared more love and more togetherness. I'm always on YouTube looking at things and I came across something about healing your inner child. A lot of us have stuff from back in our childhood days that we haven't really dealt with.
Yeah.
And while looking at the different videos, I tried my best to do it and to release that inner child, or let that inner child heal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know if I've accomplished it, but I've tried. But I've realized like that, as I say, long ago, parents long ago, it was just work, work, work.
Yeah.
But that togetherness and that being loved, and I wish I had more time with my parents, because to me, I thought they went too soon,
Yeah.
and I wish I had more time with them.
Yeah. You
But
could only act with the information you have at a point in time, right? So when we're young, we really take a lot of things for granted. Everybody, we take a lot for granted, but we know our parents, even when they pass, as you said, they are still there and they know how you feel. They know how
yeah,
much you love them. So, Lisa, thank you so much for coming on this series. I just want to ask you one more question. What would you tell women out there who are going through a similar situation, meaning who are going through grief and sadness, especially mothers?
oh, I mean, I could never. It's from what my experience and what I went through. Um, my heart go out to parents, to mothers who have to go through the same thing, who have no support. I had a lot of support. And there are some mothers I know have no support. And all I can tell them, pray, have faith, ask that man up there to help you. And trust me, he will help you. He moves mountains, he make, miracles. He open up ways and doors, especially if you have kids. Hold on to those children, hold on to them, show them as much love, try and keep that togetherness. Which, I mean, me and my kids, we are really, really close, thank God. I tell them I'm so proud of them and what, the woman they have become. And yes, you will have your bad times and good times, but hold on to your children, hold on to your good memories with your husband who passed, and, look forward, look to the future. It is going to be brighter. Do not give up. Do not let it pull you down. Stay strong. Stay strong.
Yes, thank you so much. And you are living proof that even though we go through such difficult things, you can still have a beautiful life after all of the sadness. So thank you again so much, Lisa, for coming and sharing your story with us and for being a woman who inspires. And to my audience, I am so grateful for you watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye, everyone.